Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, ciao, bonjour, namaste, jumbo. Bienvenidos. Hey, my name is Jed Lee. Welcome to Reading with Your Kids. We're coming to you from the beautiful, historical, book-loving neighborhood of Reedville, located in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We are so delighted and so very honored that you're joining us in our mission to help all families grow closer through reading. We do that by sharing fun, thoughtful, and thought-provoking conversations with fascinating people who just happen to be writing books for kids of all ages. You can join us in this mission by telling all of your family and friends about the show and letting them know that they can hear us on the WREB AM/FM 24/7 radio network. And they can find us on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, Podcast Addict, YouTube, Amazon Music, Audible, CastBox, Player FM. Wherever you find your favorite shows, you can find Reading with Your Kids. We have two really wonderful guests for you today. First up, Alicia McKenzie is here to celebrate her new book. It's called These ABCs Belong to Me. And later in the show, Kate Davies is here to celebrate the joy of movement and doing yoga together with our kids. Hey, my friends, I have a super idea you are going to love. How about this weekend, turn your backyard cookout into a storybook celebration. Fire up the grill, crack open a few of your favorite picture books, and serve up Big Fork Brand's legendary bacon sausage. Made with nitrate-free bacon and premium pork, it's juicy, smoky, and unforgettable. Top it off with Big Fork's spicy Chicago fire sauce, and you've got a meal as bold as the characters in your favorite bedtime tale. Get 20% off your order using the promo code READ at bigforkbrands.com. That's bigforkbrands.com. Promo code READ to get 20% off, because nothing brings families together like great food, great books, and a whole lot of flavor. Big Fork Brands. Read, grill, repeat. Hey, my friends, you know one of my favorite parts of the day is story time. There's just something magical about snuggling up with your kids, opening a great book, and escaping into an adventure together. And let me tell you, that moment becomes even more magical when you're curled up in the softest, coziest bedding you've ever felt. That's why I'm so excited that CozyEarth.com is supporting Reading with Your Kids. Their bamboo sheets, comforters, and pajamas are unbelievably soft, naturally breathable, and temperature regulating, which means no more sweaty nights or chilly toes. Right now, Cozy Earth is offering Reading with Your Kids listeners an unbelievable and exclusive 41% off their entire site. That's right, you heard me right, 41% off. So go ahead, create your own cozy reading nook. Wrap yourself and your kids up in something comfy, grab your favorite bedtime book, and turn story time into the best part of your day. Head on over to CozyEarth.com and use the promo code READ at checkout to save 41%. That's CozyEarth.com, promo code READ. Join us right now from Northern Virginia. Our guest is here today to celebrate her new picture book. Is called These ABCs Belong to Me. Please welcome to the show, Alicia McKenzie. Alicia, how are you?
I am living the dream. How are you?
There you go, living the dream. That is, I have to tell you, Alicia, before we start talking about your book, I had an accident a few years ago where I had a misunderstanding with a set of stairs and ended up in a hospital and rehab for a couple of months. And every day, the therapists and nurses and doctors would come in and say, "How you doing?" And I would just go, "I'm living the dream." And I convinced myself that even though I wasn't able to walk, I am living the dream.
Absolutely. It's what I tell myself when things get really hectic and I'm like, you wanted all of this. Just deal with it.
Yeah. Well, it really made a difference. in my recovery. It certainly made a difference for the therapists that were working with me because they're like, oh, he's always in such a good mood. It's such a pleasure to work with him.
Yep.
So tell us about These ABCs Belong to Me.
So before I jump into the book, it's a little bit of a background is that I
Sure.
have 5 children and the eldest is 19.
Uh-huh.
The baby is 3.5.
Oh.
So the book was inspired by my journey as a mother, learning, doing better, using words in the past that I wouldn't necessarily use now with my children, like calling them lazy or like, oh, why are you always so quiet? Right? Just little things that now that I know better, I'm trying to put into the world that this is how we should maybe reframe some of these words. And that turned into a picture book, and each of my 5 children are illustrated into the book. And it is just, it's so colorful and everything rhymes. And it's truly everything I dreamed my first children's book would be.
That's wonderful. Tell me, has the 19-year-old ever sat down with you and said, you know, Mom, you're such a much better mother now than you were when I was a kid?
Well, it's so funny because I often apologize to her. I'm like, girl, I am so sorry. I had no clue what I was doing. I had her really young. I was only 19 when I had her. So now that she's 19, I'm like, I would murder this girl if she got pregnant. So she's already off to a better foot than I am. But I'm like, I had no clue what I'm doing. And I think now she sees me parenting her younger siblings and she's like, you were not like that when I was younger. I'm like, yeah, babe, we're all growing. We're all learning.
And I love how you did the thing that attitude is like, uh-huh.
Yeah. Like, I'm sorry.
No.
I acknowledge my shortcomings.
Well, you know, one of the things that I realized doing this podcast is one of the things I used to do with my son. He loved anime. He loved graphic novels, and I would support him. We'd go to the bookstore every week, and when it was free comic day, we'd go and he'd get it, and I'd be on the road down in Prince William County. I'd stop in a bookstore and buy him some manga or whatever and come home. But there's very many times that I would go get into his room and say, dude, could you please just read a book without a picture once in a while? And I never gave him credit for the fact that he was reading literature, that it was good. What he was reading was good reading. Yeah.
And what's really interesting is that graphic novels now, that was how I got my son to start reading. Like, he hated it. And he was not a fan of reading at all. And I started working in these Diary of an 8-Bit Warrior when he was like, I think he was probably 7 years old, but it was, you read 1 page a day. Mm-hmm. And the story would evolve, and some days it'd be 3 pages and some days it would be 6. But every day we would read, and if it was 2 paragraphs, okay, like, we're done for the day. But that's how he got interested in it. And there was pictures and there was action, and you got to meet them where they're at. And now he loves reading. That's
wonderful. So let's talk about These ABCs Belong to Me and how this book is going to turn some other kids onto reading.
This book is really special in the sense that there was a mom who came up to me and she's like, my daughter's name starts with S. And the fact that stubborn was in there, but it was like a powerful word. She's like, yeah, I'm stubborn like an ox, right? Like, she took it on as a superpower. And that is really what I wanted from this book. I wanted children to look at certain words and be like, okay, it's okay if I'm quiet, or if it's okay if I'm timid, or it's okay if I'm a little extra, right? I went to New York recently, and this book was chosen for the Scholastic USOR program, the United States of Readers. So it's part of their Impact nonprofit program. And I visited 3 different Title I schools. And as I was reading, I was talking to the children, I was like, I want you to take a word that you resonate with or that you feel like fits you, put it in your pocket, and we'll talk about it when I'm done. There was one little boy after, and he raised his hand and he's like, I'm extra. And the teacher looked over and she's like, yes, he is. So I want these words to feel, I don't want them to sting as much when they hear them.
Uh-huh. You just reminded me of something that happened to me when I was in 4th grade. which is almost 100 years ago. But I remember I loved my fourth grade teacher. She used to read to us, and it was a great class. But I obviously had a little bit of extra in me, and she was trying to put together a play. And at some point, I forget exactly what it was I was doing, but she said, Jed, you're going to be the noisemaker. And so I was making all the sound effects. And I know part of the reason I was chosen for that role because I was extra. And, but boy, when I got that, I got into it, and I was proud that I was a noisemaker.
See, and it's like, I love it. It's a similar occurrence for my son, right? He was in a play, but he's always like bouncing around, and they made him the puppy, and he was the world's greatest puppy. Right? It's like, so rather than trying to shy away from these things, like I want it to be okay, and I want it to be normalized, but I also want the language to start getting out there in a positive way.
Yeah.
Right. So I used U as for ugly, but I talk about the actions, right? So it's U as for ugly, but some days my actions may be far less than pretty, not the best version of me, right? But it's not talking about you're ugly as a person. It's talking about how it's the things you do might not be the best version of yourself. And that's okay. You'll try better the next day.
Right. Yeah. I love that. Boy, I think this is really going to be a very helpful book because all the messages that kids are seeing online and in social media and in whatever, boy, kids are hearing a lot of messages that they're not enough and that they're less than. And boy, we need to help our kids understand that they're blessings and they bring so much to our lives.
Yeah, social media really scares me. It really scares me. My oldest girl did not get a phone until she was in high school. Mm-hmm. And that was after we gave it to her at the age of 11. Right. Mm-hmm. So she was 11. We gave her a phone. We realized this was a terrible mistake. We took it away, and then we waited 3 more years, and then we gave it to her again. But it was still no access to social media until you're 16. Right. Like, there are guidelines, but they're still going to see, and they're going to hear, and they're going to be exposed to all of this language. And as much as I would love to shield my kids from these words and from people being mean to them, like, it's just not realistic. So how can I empower them to create a narrative where they feel good about themselves? Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm trying to do with this book. And I have a whole series of social emotional books ruminating in my brain that are just now starting to come out on paper. But it's like, this generation, I'm really fearful because the pendulum is going to swing the other direction, and it's not going to be good.
Well, I'm in the middle of listening to a podcast and where we're talking about this thing, where basically the generation of kids who were born after 1996, 97, they're being raised in this age where there's no guardrails. It's, kind of like cars were when I was a kid, just big metal and no seatbelts and you get in an accident and you weren't walking away from it.
Yeah. I feel like we're listening to the same podcast because they were talking about cars and cigarettes and how you lost a bunch of children to smoking and secondhand smoke, and you lost a bunch of children to cars and so on and so forth. The phone is just the next iteration of the car. Right. And now we're learning how to live with it versus trying to completely abolish it because it's not going to happen.
Oh, no, absolutely not. And on top of social media, we need to worry about AI.
I just recorded, my husband and I also have a podcast. We just recorded, and AI was a big topic because it's everywhere and everyone is using it, from my mother to my 8-year-old son. So it's like, all right, we need to teach them how to use these tools because they're not going to go away.
Right. Yeah. My first experience with the AI, somebody asked me, I was invited to speak or go on a podcast, and someone said, do you have a bio? And I hate writing a bio, and I had one, but it was old and needed to be updated. So I heard about this ChatGPT thing. So I said, what the heck? And I said, hey, can you write a bio about Jed Doherty's Jedley? And man, it was It was perfect. The only thing I got wrong is Jed was born in a small town where his love of reading happened or something like that. And I was born in the city. But otherwise it was like, dude, how do you know all this?
I know, right? It's eerie.
Yeah.
And how accurate these language models can be. It's very eerie. They know a lot about us.
Too much. Too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell me, what's the word for J?
Judgmental.
Ooh.
Always thinking it through, weighing each option and deciding what's true.
Wow, what a wonderful way to turn that around. I like that. Were there any words that you kind of weren't able to turn around, or that was the people just said, nah, that's not going to work?
So extra actually is the X in the book. So it wasn't quite there, but it felt like it was going to work. But, worrywart is another one. I feel like vain is one that was designed for my 13-year-old girl who is always looking in the mirror. And I'm like, oh, babe.
Yeah, we definitely don't want her on social media until she's 16.
Oh my gosh, right? We don't want her on social media, but it's also vain. I have you question whether or not the exterior is so important, but it's more so the interior, right? Your heart, mind and soul is the most important. Don't you agree? Right. So there are some words in there that I'm like, these children have maybe never heard of them, but let's make it work.
That's what picture books are all about. I mean, a lot of authors think, you have to write simple language for kids in a picture book. It's like, no, you're writing a book that's meant to be read by an adult to a kid or with a kid, and you're there to explain. Yeah,
and I wrote with that in mind because there are some words that are meant for the parents and not quite the children, right? Okay. Messy is one of them, because I remember being in like the thick of it with 2 boys under 2 and a 5-year-old, and everything was just so everywhere and messy. And you wanted your house to be a certain way because social media made you feel like it needed to be aesthetic, right? Like, you're a mom with multiple children, your house should be perfect, this should be that. But messy is really forcing the parent to slow down and being like, for now, just let it go. Right. And I want other parents to just get that sense of ease. Like, they're going to grow out of this. Then your house will be clean and you'll miss it. Yeah. So for now, just let it go.
Yeah. True words have not been spoken. Boy, both of my kids are out in the world and they're very successful and, married, and I love spending time with them. But boy, I do miss the mess.
Yeah, you miss the mess and you're sitting in silence and you're like, what am I going to do with myself? My kids were all in Minnesota for the Commanders Vikings game, and it was just me and the baby. And we're sitting in this big house and it's just so quiet. And I'm like, what is this? I don't like it at all. So yeah, you definitely miss it when it's not there.
Yeah. Tell me, I was visiting your website, and in addition to being the mom of 5 and a children's book author, you get a whole lot going on. Lift Like a Mother, your website, you have a podcast, you're writing wellness tips, you have a shop, you're teaching a lifestyle. Where do you find the time?
My career got started as an athlete. I was a USAW weightlifter and CrossFit athlete, and that is where Lift Like a Mother was born, because I owned a gym and I would always be lugging around a car seat carrier and a gym bag. And one of my members, when I walked in, he saw me and I looked like a bag lady. Like, it was comical. And he goes, outside of the gym, you lift like a mother, but inside the gym, you lift like a mother. Right? Because I had a 400-pound deadlift and a 300-pound back squat, and I was pretty strong in my own right. So that is where Lift Like a Mother came from. People will see me in the street and they'll be like, oh, you're Lift Like a Mother. Nobody knows my name. So it's great, right? Like, I love it. And now, after I retired from weightlifting, after I sold the gym, I transferred into coaching, nutrition coaching, lifestyle coaching, wellness coaching. When I had baby number 5, we pumped the brakes on that because it just got to be too much. And now I run the website. I have contributors. My husband and I do the podcast, and I write on the side while trying to raise 5 children.
That's wonderful. And I love that person in the gym. It's like outside you live like a mother, but here, man, you live like a mother.
Yeah.
Did that inspire these ABCs belong to me in some way?
No, but not quite. But yeah, it was, yeah. I mean, I never wanted to put my career on hold for children. So I was like, we're just going to figure out how to do all of this because I want to.
Yeah.
Right. Like I loved being a mother, and writing has always been something that I'm really passionate about. And I'm like, how can I do both? Children's books. Boom. Let's do it.
Yeah. One of the things we oftentimes ask guests are, what kind of conversations do you think families can have as they're reading your book? I'm thinking like every page could inspire a conversation.
For sure. And the one thing that was really important is that I know as a mom, when you're laying in bed at night with your kids and you're putting them to bed and you're doing the routine, some nights you do not want to read 27 pages of a book. So there's something about an ABC book that always hit really close, because I'm like, maybe we're just going to go through letter H tonight. And the kid will be like, okay, yeah, letter H. And then the next day you pick up and you do the rest of the book. So I think that was one thing that I had in mind when I wanted to write this book. Like Shel Silverstein's Where the Sidewalk Ends, that was an inspiration because each little page is kind of like its own poem, right? And maybe you only want to read 3 poems tonight, and then you close it and you come back the next night. So that was really important when writing this. I wanted to keep in mind that parents are tired, they're overworked, they're overstimulated, and reading may not just be a high priority. So how can I make it easy and digestible while giving enough time for conversation and the questions that could possibly come about when they are reading this?
Yeah. You mentioned questions, and you told us earlier that you visited a number of schools in New York City, and I imagine if you haven't done so already, there'll be more classroom visits. Were there any questions that kind of blew you away in those visits?
Yes. Some just took me aback. Like one little girl raised her hand, and first thing, I always make them introduce themselves to me. So I'm like, hi, I'm Alicia. What's your name? And they will tell me their name. And then I'm like, all right, what's your question? And she was like, when you're writing, do you write on paper or on the computer? And I'm like, oh, that's a thoughtful little question coming from a first grader.
Yeah.
Right? And like, I do both. I keep notebooks around my house, and I make sure I have a pen nearby. So if inspiration sparks, I write it down. And then if that inspiration sounds good, I'll transfer it onto a computer and start writing. And she's like, oh, okay. Then I had another child raise their hand. He's like, what do you do when you're angry? And I'm like, oh, like what's going on that question was rolling around in your head. But I was like, when I'm angry, I will stop and take a breath. And if I'm really angry, I'll go for a walk. And he's like, oh, okay. And then he moved on. So there were some questions where I'm like, what's going on in that little brain of yours?
Yeah. It really is fascinating. Some of the questions that I've had over the years doing my educational magic shows just kind of blow you away. And like you said, it's like you kind of, teachers, were you listening to that? You might want to follow up on this. I'm going to be back in Boston, but you want to follow this up. Yeah.
And then one little boy, he was like, well, how much does it cost to write a book? And I'm like, ooh. And I told him, I gave him a figure. I was like, the creative fee for this book was X. And he's like, whoa. And then another little girl looks over. She's like, so are you rich? And I'm like, I'm comfortable. She's like, so you're not rich. Like, I'm comfortable. I have everything I need. And she's like, okay. And I guess that was sufficient enough. And she moved on.
Wow. You hung out with some pretty sophisticated first graders.
Right? Like, oh, okay, kids, I'm going to come back tomorrow. This is fun. Like, I get to hang out with you guys and read books all day. You're telling me this is a job? Let's go.
Very cool. Hey, I know there are people out there that are listening that want to write a book. They have a book inside their mind. They want to write it. They might want to get healthy, get back in the gym, start doing some working, maybe work up to so they have a 400-pound deadlift. but they can't find that motivation. What advice do you have for those folks?
30 minutes a day, no matter what it is. If it's writing, block out 30 minutes a day to sit at the computer. And some days you may get pages and pages of words, and other days it's just going to be blank, right? But it's getting into the habit of like, okay, I want to be a writer. I'm going to sit here and I am going to write for 30 minutes. Same thing with working out. If you are going from 0 to, I want to run a 5K, if you can commit to 30 minutes, if that's a walk, if that's yoga, do something, but it's setting out your clothes and making that a habit.
Yeah.
And it just starts small. Some people try to overhaul their entire lives and their entire careers, and that's just, it's a recipe for failure. So start small, work large.
Yep. Pack that gym bag the night before.
Seriously, I will lay out my clothes the night before, even now, because 20 years into my health and wellness and fitness career, like I still have a hard time when it gets busy motivating myself to do anything. Set the clothes out the night before and don't give yourself an excuse.
Yeah. Tell me, now that these ABCs belong to me, is out in the world, and you're obviously loving sharing it with the world, with kids. Is there a second book on the way?
There is. There is another children's book on the way. These Choices Belong to Me. It's currently in the process, and it has to do with your choice of giving a high five, a fist bump, or a hug. And that choice can be different depending on what day it is. Some days you may feel like giving all the hugs, and other days a fist bump will do.
Awesome. Well, you have an open invitation to return to celebrate that book whenever it is out. In the meantime, let's tell everybody where they can go to find out more about These ABCs Belong to Me and find out more about you.
You can find me on social media at What Alicia Wrote on Instagram or at liftlikeamother.com, and that will lead you to wherever you want to go.
We've had a really great, fun, inspiring time speaking to the author of These ABCs Belong to Me. Our guest has been Alicia McKenzie. Alicia, thanks so much for being on Reading with Your Kids.
Thank you for having me, Jed. This was fun.
Before we invite our guest into the studio, I would love to invite you to visit a very special website. It's clownswithoutborders.org. Clownswithoutborders.org. This is a group that I absolutely adore. I am part of Clowns Without Borders, and I had the honor of being part of the 2023 tour of El Salvador. I had so much fun joining with artists from all over the world to bring a smile to people who really needed it and really appreciated it too. And we would love for you to join us as a monthly Joy Maker. The Joy Makers, they're a family of people just like you who love to laugh and make other people feel good. So please take a moment and visit clownswithoutborders.org and consider joining me as a Joy Maker. Join us right now from New York City. Our guest is here today to celebrate life and exercise and movement and all the great things that I should do more of. She is the driving force behind a great website. It's yo-bk.com. Please welcome to the show, Kate Davies. Kate, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me, Jed. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I had a wonderful hike this morning out in the brisk air here in Boston. We live in Boston. We're as far away from downtown as you can be and still be within the city of Boston. Right next to my property, there is a wildlife sanctuary, so I get the best of both worlds, and actually was hiking through the neighborhood on the streets and then into the wildlife sanctuary. So I had a little bit of everything. So it was cool. And tomorrow I'll be at the gym doing my stretch class. So, yeah, I love movement, and I love that you're here talking to us about movement.
Yes, I love movement as well. I'm the owner of 4 yoga studios in New York City and in Miami, Florida, and it's kind of amazing how much better we are when we move on a regular basis. We are happier, we are better sleepers, we are more patient, we are more focused. It's medicine.
Yeah. It really is. And I have to tell you, you must be an expert at jumping through hoops, opening 3 yoga studios in New York City and one in Miami. Boy, that's a lot of red tape to be juggling.
It is actually, if you can believe it, the latest studio that I opened here in Brooklyn, I had given birth 6 weeks earlier.
Well, my hat, if I had a hat, I'd take it off to you. That's.
Thank you.
So let's talk, we talk here on Reading with Your Kids about, if you want your kids to read, let them see you read. So model that and, get our kids are more likely to be readers if they see us reading and not lecturing to them. And I am guessing it's the same. Well, I'm not guessing. I know it's the same way. If we want our kids to live healthy lifestyles with a lot of movement in their lives, they should be seeing us move.
Absolutely. I have a 14-year-old and a newborn right now, and I recently started dragging the 14-year-old into the studio to take classes with me, and he's at that age where he's usually pretty reluctant at first, and then by the end you can see the endorphins bouncing off of his skin by the end of the practice. He feels so good and he's so excited about it, and he feels confident and capable, and it's really good, especially in the winter time when kids don't have organized sports in the same capacity that they do in the summer, spring and fall. So it's been fun for us to be in a studio setting together.
Yeah. And it's just when you're talking yoga or stretching, you're moving muscles that you don't move when you're playing baseball or basketball necessarily.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yoga is such a balance between strength and flexibility, and we all kind of go into the practice on different sides of that spectrum. There are some of us who are born really, really bendy and we need to build the strength. There are some of us who are born really strong and are looking for more range of motion. So yeah, yoga really serves any type of athleticism. I would also say that yoga serves the right and the left side of the body the same. Whereas if you are a baseball pitcher, you're probably throwing with one arm the majority of the time. Or if you're playing soccer, you have a dominant leg. Yoga helps to bring the body back into balance so that we feel good as we age.
Yeah. That was one of the things. I coached soccer, a high school soccer team back in the 80s. And that was a time when things started to shift. When I was a kid, in the summertime, you played baseball. In the fall, you played soccer. In the wintertime, you either played hockey or basketball. And so you're an all-around, well, I was never an all-around, I was a round athlete, but I was never all-around athlete. But it was well-rounded. We were well-rounded because we were doing different things. And starting in the 80s and certainly now, kids are specializing in one sport or over another. And I don't think that's the healthiest way to go.
Yeah, I also think that most kids who play sports are not going to become professional athletes. I think the real benefit of sports is teamwork, movement, discipline, fitting it into your schedule, learning how to cooperate with different types of kids. It's really probably less than 1% of kids who actually go on to play in college or beyond.
Mm-hmm. I'm just going to repeat that. So the parent that thinks that they have the next NBA star in their home, it probably ain't going to happen. Because my daughter had a great. She was a kid who was the best dancer in whatever studio she was in. And so people would always be like, hey, you're the best, you're the best, you're the best, and you're the greatest. And we had a conversation coming home one day, and she said, yeah, I'm the best in this studio. But here in Massachusetts, there's probably 1,000 studios. And so there's 1,000 best dancers in the studio here in Massachusetts. And then how many around the country? So, great. I'm great, but I'm not counting on doing this for the rest of my life.
Smart kid.
Yeah, she is. She's as we say here in Boston, she's a wicked smart kid.
Yeah, and this is the cool thing about a yoga practice is it's not a sport and it's not competitive. It is literally a practice. So you're not trying to be the best at it. You're not trying to get to a certain point in your practice necessarily. You're there to breathe and to move. And if achieving a challenge comes with that, all the better. But it's not based around winning or losing.
Yeah.
And for many adults, that's kind of the only piece of our life that is like a zero-sum exercise. You know, there's no exchange of like money for time or for goods or a negotiation with a spouse or a friend. Like, I did this, you did that. It really is something that can be purely ours.
Yeah. I just want to get this out of the way up front. I'm a Catholic, and I had a priest one day sit down and tell me, "Don't do yoga. You're going to open yourself up to demons." It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. But please address that. The people out there who think, "Oh no, yoga is some kind of it's a religion," and I'm because I'm Jewish or Christian or Muslim, I can't do that yoga stuff.
Yeah, I'm here to debunk that. I have debunked that for my mother-in-law, who is very worried about her son falling in love with a yoga teacher. I have since converted to Catholicism, so I'm there with you. Yoga is not a religion. It does come out of the Hindu tradition. So there are, certain postures that refer to Hindu deities, but that's about as far as it goes. It really, what you encounter in yoga, especially in the West, is primarily a physical a type of physical movement, or perhaps a type of breath movement or meditation, but there really is no crossover with worship between yoga and Catholicism or any religion.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're an expert and you were able to take that question. And you didn't look at me like, who are you talking to, strange people?
The demons.
Now
I would also say that it's kind of cool that this type of movement came out of a dedicated Hindu practice, because I would argue that within a lot of Western religions there isn't that link between the physical and the ethereal in such a powerful way. So I think it's cool that there is that within Hinduism. And is Hinduism very different from Catholicism, and is it problematic in certain ways? Absolutely. But I do embrace this idea of the mind and the body and the spirit being connected, because we live inside of our bodies. They are our home.
Yeah. And if we are, devout, whatever faith it is, our bodies are a gift from our Creator, and we should probably take care of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, there are different types of yoga. I know myself, I take stretch classes. There's a lot of yoga that goes on in them. I'll be honest, my Wednesday class, I don't like us so much, because it's a lot of like the onion. This is like an onion and we're peeling one layer after another. My Friday class, it's more just like, hey, we're stretching and do this. And it feels more like soccer practice used to feel when I was young and could play soccer still. And that's, to me, I found the thing that I really love. And is that the same with yoga, that we can find the studio, the style of yoga that we like?
Yeah, and even more granularly, like the teacher that you connect with.
Yeah, that's what it is for me.
Everyone connects with themselves in a different way. So finding someone who is able to connect with themselves and connect you to yourself in a way that speaks to you, like that is the type of yoga to practice. That is the type of movement to practice, the class to go to, the teacher, the studio. Like you have to connect to it, or there is no longevity.
Yeah. And that's really, I guess, the goal of yoga and all X movement is to make this part of your life forever.
Yeah, absolutely. And yoga is really interesting, because a lot of people come to yoga once they have an injury and their doctor says go to yoga, and the doctor doesn't say go to this type of yoga or that studio or that teacher. They're just like yoga. And it's kind of hilarious now with how broad yoga is and how widespread it is. I own a heated yoga studio. We teach a really athletic styles of yoga that, yes, are also therapeutic, but are quite challenging. And sometimes we'll get pregnant women who come in and they've never done yoga before, or someone who has, a broken ankle and they've never done yoga before. And we're like, respectfully, let us refer you to a place that will be better for this at this moment in your life, and then come back to us.
Yeah. My daughter does the heated yoga, and I said, I want to join it with you. And she goes, no. No, no. Nah.
But also, why not?
Well, I'll tell you after we start recording, but tell us a little bit about the different, so you mentioned heated yoga. What other kind of yoga practices are there?
So there are many practices that come directly from India and from Indian teachers who have been around since yoga was practiced as a group exercise. Yoga began as a student-teacher relationship in a one-on-one setting, and it was always male to male, and it was always within a certain socioeconomic group within India. So fast forward to now, like 200 years later, we think of yoga as a yoga class in a yoga studio with, 10 or more students in a room. That's the majority of what we see in the West, group classes versus one-on-one. There are so many different lineages of yoga. I find what is really widespread right now is vinyasa yoga, which simply means putting one thing in front of another mindfully. So in other words, it's a sequencing that makes sense, that you're doing warm-up postures and then moving into your more rigorous work, and then kind of cooling down and ending in a shavasana, which is a rest. And that's what we see a lot of in the United States and in the West. And there are also different forms of heated yoga. There is restorative yoga, which is incredibly potent, where you basically build yourself a couch and then rest in a position for 3 to 5 minutes, and you kind of do feel those layers of the onion unpeeling in terms of getting deeper into relaxation. There is yin yoga, which is relaxing but also intense, and a deep fascia stretching. There's a lot out there.
Yeah, yeah. And what's the relationship between Pilates and yoga? There's a connection there?
Not quite in terms of like the tradition and the lineage. They go hand in hand in many ways because they're both very mindful. They're both breath driven. They're both highly therapeutic, and they often work within sequences. Both have been embraced by dancers in particular. That's really how Pilates gained popularity, was with the New York City Ballet. And yoga was also very early on embraced by dancers and by celebrities. So you kind of see them hand in hand. And the studios that I own, we do both. And I teach both. In many ways, they serve the same outcome of increasing mobility, strength, body awareness, and breath.
If we wanted to get our kids into it, and obviously, I'm guessing that in your studio, you don't want a parent coming into a hot yoga class with a 7-year-old. How do we get our kids? She goes, "Nah, I don't want that at all."
I mean, in New York, we're seeing the education department really embrace yoga. So it is being taught in schools. These kids are learning, they're learning yoga. A couple of the teachers who we trained actually teach in the Department of Education, which is super cool. And one of them was teaching full time for a while, to different grades. So I think our kids are being exposed to this earlier on. Kids do not have our attention span. And we barely have our own attention span, right? Like when I started practicing, the standard yoga class time was 90 minutes. Now the standard class time is 60 minutes, and we're seeing 45-minute classes and even like 30-minute yoga classes. So I think short and sweet is kind for our kids, and it keeps them engaged rather than feeling like it's a punishment. Bringing them in for a few sun salutations, which is how we would start many yoga classes, or teaching them how to do an exciting posture like a headstand, which is like so much easier for a kid than it is for an adult. Or even teaching them to meditate, teaching them to sit still, to close their eyes, to breathe for a few minutes. These are really powerful tools.
I'm guessing that a kid who I used to explain my son had a lot of extra energy. I think there are initials that educators give those kind of kids. Can yoga and a yoga practice, especially if it's done as a family activity, can it help kids with the extra energy who have a hard time with attention gain a little bit more control?
Yeah, so I'm not a doctor and I can't make guarantees, but my short answer would be yes. Yoga has a lot to do with channeling energy, harnessing energy, bringing awareness to energy, and really utilizing our breath, which is so deeply linked to our energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, let's talk about yo-bk.com. What can we learn on that website? And are there things that we can experience there with our kids?
Yeah, we actually do have an online portal that we built during the pandemic, and it has a 7-day free trial, and you can log in from anywhere at any time, and you can choose a class and kind of play around in there. We don't have kid-specific yoga, but you could grab a kid and bring them to any one of our online classes. You'll also see our schedules if you're located in New York or in Miami. And we also have some amazing retreats that anyone can meet us from anywhere in the world. We're going to Mexico in March for a week, and we're doing a retreat in Ireland in August. So anyone who's interested in taking a yoga vacation with or without their kids is welcome to inquire on our website.
I would not have guessed a yoga vacation in Ireland. I had a lovely vacation in Ireland last year, but we didn't do any yoga.
Yeah, actually, my partner in leading retreats is married to an Irish man, so we have an inn, and we found a really, really beautiful bed and breakfast in the hills of Connemara, and it'll be very very naturalistic, lots of hiking, lots of practice. I'm sure some folks will go to the pub as well, you know.
I was going to ask, lots of hiking, lots of practice, lots of Guinness, maybe.
Very low ABV.
That's what I've heard. Now, so your online classes, parents can go there, and is it what was the word, synchronous? Do you have to be there at 9:00 for the class to start, or is it something
No,
that's...
It is a library, so it is accessible at any time.
Yeah. And what's you said that there was a 7-day free trial. If a family wants to get involved, how much does it cost?
It's $14 a month. It's super affordable. You can pause it, you can cancel it. It's a great way to dip your toe into the water and take a guided class if you haven't done that before. You can search for classes based on the class length. Sometimes shorter, like I said, can be more accessible for kids to get started with. Yeah,
boy. Yeah, the classes I take are 30 minutes. Some days I want them to be longer, and then other days it's like, I'm kind of done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's such good information to see what the mind is doing too.
Yeah. Yeah. So before you go, how did you get into this, Kate? I mean, it's a lot of work, a lot of dedication. What inspired you?
I mean, I was a kid, actually. I was a high school athlete. I ran, I played soccer, and I got into yoga because I loved moving. And then when I went to college, I did not follow the athletic track, and I had like all of this extra energy and all of this extra time. So one of my new best friends dragged me to a hot yoga studio, and I went almost every day of college and almost every day after college. And after I had practiced regularly for about 7 years, I decided to do my first teacher training, and I taught full-time for a few years and worked under an incredible mentor who had incredible studios, and she really taught me some of the ins and outs of how to open my own. And so I opened the first YoBK in Williamsburg, Brooklyn 10 years ago, and since then we've pretty much opened another location every 3 years.
That's wonderful. I love it. And again, now you said earlier in the program to parents, your kid's probably not going to be a pro athlete. They're probably not going to play D1
sorry
sports.
to break that.
Yeah, but I know, I can hear there's one parent out there saying, Kate, my kid is going to go pro.
And I hope
Can yoga help that kid?
Yes, absolutely. The stretching, the awareness, the breath control, the discipline that comes from yoga has so many crossovers with the discipline required for being a serious athlete. It means showing up whether or not you want to.
Yeah. I love it. I think it would be a great way. You know, we talk about reading with your kids. My relationship with my kids, now that they're adults, it was built on a relationship of reading with them, and that turned into cooking with them and throwing the ball around with them. My daughter and I went to the gym together from the time she started high school until she moved out of the house. And I think yogaing, is that a word? Yogaing, is that the verb? Practicing yoga with our kids is a great tradition that I think you and your kids would love.
And I love that we're just seeing it more and more. We have a few like full families who come into our studio, and it's an honor that we get to be part of that special thing that they share in common.
Yeah. And $14 a month, that's pretty reasonable.
Yes. Our in-studio classes are not $14 a
Sure.
month. Do not quote me on that. But you will be part of the most amazing, exciting community that you've ever met.
Awesome. And to find out more, they can go to yo-bk.com, correct?
Yes, correct.
We've had a great time speaking to the driving horse, I didn't mean. But there's a horse dance in yoga, right?
There's a horse pose, yes.
No, horse pose. Okay. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking about you and the horse pose. The driving force behind yo-bk.com, our guest has been Kate Davies. Kate, thanks so much for being on Reading with Your Kids.
Thank you so much as well, Jed. I appreciate it.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Reading with Your Kids and will join us for the next exciting episode of the show. Hey, if this episode made you smile or gave you something to think about, please think about sharing it with somebody you love. Share the link. I'm sure they'd really appreciate it. We'd really appreciate it. We'd really appreciate it if you could leave us a 5-star review wherever you find the show. And we also would absolutely love it if you would subscribe to the show. The other thing we love is if you'd connect with us on social media, facebook.com/readingwithyourkids, @readingwithyourkids, on Instagram, @JedleyMagic, on X. We would love to thank the people who made today's show so wonderful, starting with our sponsors. You know, if you use our promo code READ, R-E-A-D, you'll get a great discount and we'll earn a small commission, and that really helps keep the lights on. I want to thank our guest, Alicia McKenzie. Please be sure to check out the These ABCs Belong to Me. Also want to thank Kate Davies. Please be sure to check out her website, yo-bk.com. Also want to thank my team, Fatima Khan and Chris Doherty. Want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. I also want to thank the Real Magic Podcast Band, who's providing some of the great original music that you're hearing at the end of a bunch of our episodes. And we also, well, there's more information about the Real Magic Podcast coming. You just stay tuned. Want to thank you. Thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you so much for helping to make the world a better, smarter, more caring, more empathetic place. And you do that every time you read with your kids. I'll be looking to you in the next episode of Reading with Your Kids. Right now, I want to encourage you to read for fun.
Hey kids, are you ready? Ready to read? Ready to dream? Let's go! Let's go! Open up a book and the world begins. Adventure calls the moment you dive in. Flip that page, who knows what you'll see? A dragon, a robot, a mystery. Every chapter is a brand new ride. With a passport stamped inside grab a book, let the fun begin. Every reader is a champion. Read it for fun. Raise your voice and shout it loud. Read it for fun. Be a dreamer, brave and proud. Stories take you anywhere, from mountains high to underwater air. So come on, everyone. Ready for fun. Treasure map, superpowers hiding in each line, and guess what? You've got yours inside. Open a book and let your heart explore. Read one story, then read more. Read for fun. Let the words all come alive. Read for fun. Every page helps your dreams thrive. Fly with fairies, dance with space raccoons, ride a comet straight past the moon. So come